Over 20,000 kilometers, millions of workers, 2,000 years. One question, why was it really built? It was never meant to dazzle the eye. No artist sketched it first, and no traveler's gaze shaped its purpose. The Great Wall of China rose from something far more primal than ambition or pride. It rose from fear. Standing before its weathered stones, one can't help but wonder, what desperation compels a nation to stitch a barrier across mountains and deserts? How many souls must be spent to hold back a threat that moves like the wind? And can any wall truly halt an invasion, or does it merely mark the wound of a deeper, older conflict? We call it the Great Wall, but the name is a thin veil over a harsher truth. It doesn't whisper of the hands scraped raw from lifting stones day after day. It doesn't remember the workers who left for the frontier and vanished into the silence of history. It says nothing of nights so cold they could shatter breath, of watchtowers lit by flames trembling in the wind, of rulers haunted by the shifting shadows beyond their borders. Long before it became a postcard backdrop, the destination of tidy bus tours, the wall was exactly what it appears to be from up close, a boundary between worlds. On one side lay the familiar, plowed fields, quiet towns, winding roads, and villages that breathed in a slow, steady rhythm. Life was rooted there, patient and predictable. On the other side stretched vastness, a horizon without end, steppes that rippled like the surface of an unseen sea, riders who swept across the land as swiftly as storms, tribes who moved with the seasons and vanished without a trace, leaving only ashes, hoof prints, and uneasy stories behind. The wall stood between them, not beautiful, not gentle, but necessary, a monument not to glory, but to the eternal tension between safety and the unknown. For centuries, the same shadow loomed over northern China, returning again and again like a recurring storm. Riders burst from the horizon without warning, villages vanished in smoke, harvests and entire season's hope were carried away in a single raid. Emperors rose and crumbled, dynasties turned like pages in a book, yet one fear refused to fade, the dread of seeing at any moment a tide of horses and iron spill out of the empty plains. At first, the solution was not one great wall, but a patchwork of many, modest ramparts of packed earth, lonely outposts clinging to hilltops, wooden palisades thrown together in haste, then torn down just as quickly. Each generation added something. Each ruler convinced his defenses would finally hold. None truly did. But there comes a moment when fear hardens in division. A man seizes power with an obsession for unity. One system, one law, one measure for grain and metal. And even the walls must obey this dream. The emperor, remembered as the first to rule a land called China, looks north and sees only weakness, a boundary riddled with gaps, a border that breathes like a torn sail. And he decides that the breathing must stop. From that decision, the scattered ramparts begin to merge into a single being, a line meant to carve its way across mountains and deserts, slip along riverbeds, and climb out of valleys. No longer a confusion of barriers, but a continuous spine of brick and stone, a colossal serpent that demands millions of lives for its creation. When the first work teams reach the ridges, they find nothing, no dwellings, no paths, not even the promise of shelter. Only bare rock, slopes that dare the foot to slip, snows that swallow the world in winter, and heat that scorches it in summer. Yet the imperial orders are unambiguous. A wall will rise here. Soldiers, signal fires, urgent messengers, one day all will pass along this very line. But for now, the place is empty, and someone must risk everything to fill that void. Peasants pulled from their fields, villagers uprooted from the only world they've ever known, convicts in chains, soldiers, craftsmen, an entire human river pushed toward the frontier. None of them knows if they will ever return. Many never will. For those who command, the wall is more than stone. It is a declaration, a way of telling the world and their own people that China's border is untouchable. The empire may bend, but it will not break. What they cannot imagine is that centuries later, crowds will stroll along these battlements, snapping photos, laughing, filming themselves, never realizing that beneath every footstep may lie a story that was never written down. And this is where our journey truly begins. Not with the serene postcard view of the wall glowing under a sunset, but with a far more urgent question. What is the real price of an empire's safety? Measured not in coins, but in fear and human lives. The Great Wall's birthplace lies on mountain crests, where the wind never rests. There were no machines, no cranes, no roads. Stones were heaved up the slopes by hand, hauled in baskets slung across backs, pushed inch by inch toward the clouds. Lines of men passed each burden from one to the next like a living chain, and those who faltered were quietly replaced, the work continuing as if the mountain itself demanded it. Those who are injured simply stand, grit their teeth, and return to their tasks. To stop is to vanish, to be replaced, forgotten, absorbed by the mountain of labor. By day, the world is a storm of sound, steel striking stone in relentless rhythm, overseers barking orders, the heavy shuffle of men carrying loads that bend their backs. By night, silence falls like a blanket, broken only by the soft crackling of the campfires. Some workers stare south, replaying memories of families left far behind. Others gaze northward with dread, imagining riders slipping through the twilight, swift and merciless. More laborers arrive each week, farmers pulled from their fields, prisoners in shackles, soldiers, skilled artisans. The official story is simple. The wall is for defense. But beneath that explanation lies another truth. A wall this vast doesn't only keep enemies out, it also manages everything inside. It controls movement, regulates trade, and reminds every subject that if an emperor can reshape mountains, he can just as easily reshape their lives. Yet the larger the wall grows, the more its shortcomings stand exposed. A wall may be grand, long, monumental, but it can never rise higher than the fear that demanded its creation. Raids from the north do not end simply because masonry exists. Riders find weak points, exploit understaffed stretches, bribe corrupt officers, or use frozen rivers as bridges in winter. The wall hinders and slows them, yes, but it is no flawless shield. Along its spine, watchtowers rise at steady intervals, each one a lonely outpost. Inside, soldiers live exile-like lives, months or years away from home. They sleep on hard boards, eat plain rice, endure wind that cuts like knives and nights that feel endless. Their task is simple, yet immense: to watch. Watch the sky for weather that might conceal or reveal danger. Watch the plains for the faintest plume of dust stirred by hooves. Watch the smoke signals from neighboring towers and read the meaning hidden in their patterns. Because the wall is not just a structure, it is a network. Braziers sit ready with dry fuel. One sudden flame means a sighting. 2 signals warn of greater peril. 3 announce disaster. In minutes, A chain of fire can race across hundreds of kilometers. News of an attack moves faster than any horse, lighting a path through darkness and giving the empire time to prepare. Centuries roll on. Dynasties vanish, replaced by others. Some sections of the wall crumble into the earth. Others are rebuilt stronger with new techniques and new ambition. Each era leaves a layer: sturdier towers, improved materials, redesigned routes that cling to the mountain ridges. In some periods, a strange irony emerges. China is ruled by dynasties descended from the very steppe peoples the wall was once meant to keep out. The barrier built to repel them now protects their sovereignty. Later, with the rise of new rulers determined to reclaim full control, the wall enters another transformation. No more hurried earthworks or rough stone. Kiln-fired bricks are produced by the millions. Drainage channels are carved to fight erosion. Internal staircases allow soldiers to move swiftly. Battlements are shaped for rifles and cannons. In places, the wall becomes a true fortress corridor, flowing along the mountains as though it had grown from the rock itself. Seen from above, it twists and stretches like a colossal ribbon, disappearing into mist before re-emerging miles away. Below it, fields flourish, villages hum with life, markets ring with chatter, and beyond to the north, the endless steppes extend like a great, uncertain ocean. For those who lived along this frontier, the wall was many things at once: a shield, a burden, an enigma. It marked the boundary of their world, separating them from peoples viewed as dangerous yet indispensable for trade and exchange. Over time, a legend emerged, one still whispered today, that the wall was literally built atop the bones of those who labored on it. This isn't historically accurate for every stretch, yet it expresses something deeply true. The Chinese people understood the human price paid for this monument. Many believe the wall was not just made of stone, but of lives. Visitors who walk its battlements now rarely think of any of this. Yet every block carries echoes of commands shouted, of fears whispered, of destinies broken or fulfilled through imperial decisions. For centuries, the Great Wall was above all a frontier of toil and war. Then the world began to change.